Hi everyone, welcome back to Money.Finesse.Mindset. Today I'm going to give you a quick update on my own personal finances. But before diving into this reality check, let me back up and share a bit about myself. Once upon a time, I was a hard-working corporate hamster, always putting work above everything else. That changed in 2019 when a new manager's insecurity created a toxic work environment. The manager was let go a year later, but by then something had shifted in me. Work no longer gave me the same satisfaction and purpose it once did. I still gave it my best, but my heart wasn't in it anymore. That's when I started thinking seriously about early retirement. I didn't have the courage to take the leap though, so a year passed, then another, and another. Finally, I decided enough was enough. There was never going to be a perfect moment. I could keep waiting for a sign that was never going to come, or I could just quit. And that's exactly what I did. I left in March 2024, and then I have been very happy with that decision. So, what held me back from retiring sooner? The worry over money, of course. Have I saved enough? Was a question I asked myself again and again. It's a valid concern for sure, but here's the thing: no one can predict the future. I might run out of savings before I die, or I might have plenty left. Or maybe what I have saved will be just right. Who knows? Even without a fortune telling crystal ball to ease my mind, I'm confident that I will be fine, as long as I stick to my current modest lifestyle and hold myself accountable with a monthly budget. Because I have been tracking my expenses since 2011, I have plenty of data to work with. As I set out to build my monthly budget, I established two ground rules. First, don't go extreme. Budgeting is like dieting. If I cut too much and too fast, I feel deprived. And then what? I end up binging. To avoid that yo-yo trap, I deliberately give my monthly budget some breathing room, a little cushion for the unexpected, and a little for my sanity. The big picture is what matters. If I blow the budget 1 month, I'm not going to freak out. As long as I stay on track over time, say over 6 months, I'm good. Second, keep a separate budget just for travel. I love to travel, but I'm not going to be on the road all the time. Some years I will spend more, some years less. Trying to squeeze vacations into a monthly budget is like trying to force a square peg into a round hole. It just doesn't work. Now, let me pull back the curtain and show you what my monthly budget looks like, what it includes, and how well I'm sticking to it. First things first, I live in New York City, one of the most expensive places in the world. With that in mind, my monthly budget is $8,500. 70% of that goes to necessities and must-haves, things that don't vary much month to month. The remaining 30% covers variable costs, with some wiggle room built in. Let's start with fixed costs. My monthly target is $5,950 or 70% of my total budget. Here's how I did in the first half of 2025. I stayed on the budget every month except April and June. I overspent slightly in those months because I bought extra pet food for my cats. Homeowner association fees and property tax make up 48% of my fixed costs. Housing is expensive in New York City. Even if I sold my place and rented, I wouldn't save much. Sure, I could cut costs by moving to somewhere else, but that is not something I'm willing to consider right now. The second largest category is insurances, which take up 32% of my fixed costs. I got a long-term care policy in 2024. I'm locked in to make premium payments until 2034. Last November, I got my health insurance through the marketplace, thanks to the Affordable Care Act. I pay $725 a month, including dental. But silly me, I didn't check if my dentist accepted that plan. Turns out they don't. So I have been overpaying. When open enrollment rolls around in November, I will revisit my options. Outside of housing and insurance, the rest of my fixed costs go toward utilities, which include electricity, cable, internet, and cell phone bills. Groceries, pet food, public transportation, and yoga classes are also part of my fixed costs. Now, let's talk about variable costs. That's the remaining 30% of my budget, or $2,550 per month. I did okay in January, February, May, and June, but March and April, I blew it. In March, my cats had their annual checkup. On top of that, I prepaid for cat sitter service since I'd be away for 2.5 weeks in May. Those two expenses alone added up to $1,068. Then I had to buy a year's supply of contact lenses, a surprise expense since they were previously covered under my old employer's insurance. And finally, there was a $350 dental cleaning bill. In April, my ginger cat Otto needed dental work because of plaque and tartar buildup. I adopted Otto and Pokey from a shelter 3 years ago. This was my first big vet bill, but honestly, compared to the joy they bring me, it's a small price to pay. So to summarize, for fixed expenses, I budgeted $35,700 from January to June and spent $35,163. That is $537 under. For variable expenses, I budgeted $15,300 but spent $16,094. That is $794 over. Combined, I exceeded my budget by just $257 in the first half of 2025. Since that is less than 1% of my total plan, I'd say I did very well. As for vacations, my plan is to take one big trip every few years with smaller ones in between. This May, I visited Machu Picchu and the Galapagos, two places that have been on my bucket list since I was a kid. I booked the trip shortly after quitting my job and waited nearly a year for it. The tour package cost a little over $8,000, which I paid last year. On top of that, I spent about $1,000 during the trip on gratuities to local guides, meals during free time, and souvenirs. At that price point, I wouldn't feel comfortable splurging like that more than once every couple of years. For the smaller trips, I already have a few ideas and plan to keep each one under $3,000. So that's where things stand right now. I'm still adjusting to this new chapter of my life, but I feel good about where I am. I didn't figure out everything before I took early retirement, and honestly, I don't think that's even possible. Be that as it may, early retirement is about creating space to live on one's own terms, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Thanks so much for watching this episode. If you found it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe so you will not miss what's coming next. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover, drop them in the comments. Until next time, take care of yourself and your finances. See you again soon.